Gentle winds will carry us to this enchanted place. Palace towers glistening in the sun. Sailing to Estolia, our journey's just begun.
Deity exercised great forethought in placing Estolia within the embrace of the Balearic Islands, near Italy and Spain, France, Algeria, and Tunisia. When one looks back across the centuries, it becomes clear that there was an elegant design in our placement in the Western Mediterranean, centrath as our ancestors called it. Deity inspired many from both the near and far reaches of Centrath to immigrate, so that the first 5 citizens, Estoliana, Zacharias, Sebastian, Mari, and Key, were but the first in a flood of new citizens, men and women of strong character, diligent hands, and varied gifts, such as any newborn civilization requires for its survival. Out of that influx, in the place Deity had so carefully positioned, came the substance from which our own culture was formed. Positioned in so favorable a locale, there were lands aplenty throughout the region to which many Estolians could settle, keeping the island's population measured while welcoming continued immigration. In time, this became the principal means by which the Strayaron discovered their Kales. The sea, like Deity, yielded an unending bounty, helping the sons of Zacharias to keep his promise, and indeed demonstrating that Deity has always kept hers. Lazarus Ezekiel Zacharian, Capitulo 88.
Charlotte and Laura stood near the edge of the bustling Barcelona pier, the restless sea, and the raucous call of seagulls rising around them. A short distance away, Señor Santiago's servants labored industriously, building what seemed an ever-growing mountain of trunks and valises for the 3 young women. Camilla approached, escorting an elderly couple toward them. The couple moved at Camilla's side with unhurried steadiness, their years evident but not burdensome. Their hair had long since surrendered its color, yet their posture remained upright, their bearing assured, as though age had refined rather than diminished them. Percival's gaze was clear and attentive beneath silvered brows, and Marina's lined face held the quiet composure of someone long accustomed to being listened to. Camilla's hand rested warmly at her grandmother's elbow, her expression bright with unmistakable pride.
I would be most pleased to introduce you to my grandparents Percival and Marina Zacharian. Grandmother, grandfather, these are my dear friends, Laura Santiago and Charlotte Coleman.
It is indeed a pleasure to meet the 2 of you young ladies,
he said, smiling at them.
I understand the 2 of you, along with Camilla, will be visiting for a couple of months at least.
He grinned, and then gestured towards the sailboat to their right.
Come, the sailboat Amador awaits. Our trip should be short. The captain assures me that we will have a favorable wind all the way to Estolia if we leave right away.
Within the hour, the sailboat was tacking out of the harbour. Charlotte stood on the deck watching Barcelona recede. After a short time, Camilla encouraged her to come into the lounge, as it would be boring until they sighted Estolia. In the lounge, Laura was chattering away in Spanish to the older couple, and Camilla looked up with a smile.
You are well?
She asked.
I used to go sailing with my father,
Charlotte said.
I've also made the journey to Calais several times.
I am glad. I have visited Estolia 4 times, and the last time I visited, I traveled via Mallorca. There was one passenger who did not travel at all well, and I felt most sorry for her. She was supposed to travel on from Mallorca on a much longer journey, but she could not do it. To this day, I do not know how she ever returned to the mainland. Perhaps she's still on Mallorca?
Tell me about Estolia. Somehow I thought it was in Northern Europe.
Charlotte loved listening to Camilla. She had a way of speaking that seemed to breathe life into whatever subject she broached.
That is Estonia, a very different land from Estolia. I have studied Estonia because of the coincidence of our names.
Camilla grinned as if admitting to study of any kind was slightly peculiar.
I have learned that Estonia is largely forests and quagmires, with the only similarity being that they, like Estolia, have rocky beaches. It lies in the far northern reaches of Europe. I have heard there is a certain friendliness between our peoples because of the resemblance in our names.
I have never heard of Estolia,
Charlotte said.
though I have heard of Minorca and Mallorca.
She added.
My father calls it Majorca, but I prefer how it sounds when Laura speaks of it.
Estolia is identified as pequeño on many maps.
Camilla said.
It is not considered worth colonizing, with no natural resources worth conquering it. It has 2 natural harbors, but otherwise there are treacherous submerged rocks surrounding the island that make it impossible to approach.
And is it as small as the name suggests?
Charlotte was fascinated. It was as though they were speaking of a land hidden in plain sight. Camilla shrugged, as if the relative size of Estolia were of little consequence. Her grandfather must have overheard, for he came to sit beside her and gave her a gentle embrace. He turned his attention to Charlotte and answered,
Estolia is in size smaller than Majorca, but larger than Menorca or Ibiza. To the residents of the other islands, it is considered the smallest of all, and of little interest. The ocean currents swiftly pull the unprepared beyond Estolia's shores.
Charlotte enjoyed listening to the old man's voice and his measured way of speaking. He seemed like an instructor. Perhaps all Estolians possessed that same sing-song cadence. She found herself thinking of the tutor her father had engaged to instruct her, and of her governess. They were now happily married, the one to the other, and she missed them.
Are there many people in Estolia?
In population, it is a very small nation. There are villages throughout, but no large towns or cities. Only 2 major centers gather our people, the temple at Mount Estoliana and the palace at Mount Zacharias. Other than those 2, most Estolians live a simple agrarian life.
Palace?
Charlotte was entranced.
I did not realize there would be a palace. Is it a remnant from historical days?
The look on the old man's face surprised her. She had expected his expression to remain one of gentle benevolence. Instead, he looked reverent, almost awed.
If Estolia possessed the notoriety of places like Egypt with her pyramids or the gardens of Babylon, then the palace of Mount Zacharias would be counted among the 7 wonders. Were outsiders invited to behold that architectural feat, they would add the temple of Mount Estoliana to their list of natural wonders as well. We of Estolia know ourselves to be greatly blessed to possess such works of engineering and design.
I'm greatly intrigued. Do you think...
Charlotte broke off what she was going to say. It was not perhaps polite to express a wish to see such marvels when she would only be a guest to this foreign land. She caught the corner of her lip between her teeth at the look of inquiry on his face.
What is it, my dear? Please do not feel shy to ask questions.
She searched his amber eyes for sincerity and found it in abundance. A small smile curved her lips.
I just wondered if it would be possible, during our stay in Estolia, to see the palace. Such structures fascinate me.
She had always wished to understand how great buildings were conceived, how each level rested upon another, how unseen supports carried visible beauty. Had she been born a boy, she might have studied architecture in earnest. The thought passed through her with a quiet pang. Life did not grant such freedoms lightly to girls. The broad smile on the older man's face gave her hope she would be able to see the palace, at least from the outside.
My dear, I thought you knew that you would be staying in the palace itself.
He nodded towards where Camilla was now sitting, speaking with his wife and Laura.
You, Camilla, and Laura will all stay in the North Tower rooms. It is always lovely when we have guests visiting.
I don't know how to act around royalty. Or is the government now different?
We have a most delightful king. For 30 years my older brother was the king, but he passed it on to his son.
He must have seen something in her expression, because he reassured her.
We are a very relaxed country. It is not unusual to see the king spending time with a cook or any other member of his staff. He is just a man. He takes his role in life seriously, but only to a point. You will like him.
Upon the open sea we sail to Estolia, land of myth and tale. Winds guide us to her shores, where heart and history blend and soar. Sailing to Estolia.